Hey, what's up, guys? Tugi here, back again with another episode of my Hartford Whalers franchise mode series here on NHL 18. And today we find out just how big a part EA Voodoo plays when it comes to simming through these seasons. I mentioned it at the end of the last episode. I was so nervous to stop the sim because everything was going oh so well. We've hit January 1st. We have a 26-6-4 record, 56 points in 36 games, first place in the Central. But coming back a day later, simming through the rest of the season, hopefully, that is the plan to try and get to the playoffs in this episode, we could free fall. There's no way to know. We could continue this great pace, or we could just plummet down the standings. I see both as a very possible scenario, I would say. Now, of course, the big question was, what do we do, especially as we approach the trade deadline? And sorry about that. Still, I don't know what it is. Whenever I record these in the morning, I always feel a little bit under the weather. I don't know. It's awful. I wish I could just wake up and feel 100%. That's never the case. Anyway, the thought was, of course, upgrading our current situation. And, of course, Jake DeBrusk would probably be the first man out, even though he is a really good third-line scoring forward, at least attribute-wise. And then, of course, the thought as well of, if we get two players, sending down Ivan Kosarenkov. At the very least, we could get one upgrade, drop DeBrusk back down to the third line, and just send down Kosarenkov. I'm not sure exactly what I want to do just yet. I haven't really taken a look at who's available on the market. But at the moment, we are just going to sim a little bit. If that free fall I'm so worried about starts to happen, that is when we'll definitely take a look at, bringing in some reinforcements, although that's more than likely going to happen anyway. So we'll sim a little bit over 2 weeks here, and losing our first game 5-1 to Colorado doesn't exactly help my confidence in this team at the moment. But what can you do? We'll see what happens here on this nice little Western road trip. We beat the Chicago Blackhawks 5-4 in the shootout, and then we beat the Calgary Flames. Game against the Buffalo Sabres goes well. Okay, maybe we can breathe a little bit. Maybe we can just calm down and breathe and know that it's going to be okay, with the exception of Nicholas Bodin going down to injury. With the exception of that, we beat the Vancouver Canucks as well. And we'll put Bodine back in the lineup in a moment. We do lose to Pittsburgh, but we at least get the pity point. That brings our record to 31-7-5. So far, so good. We are still in first place in the division. Mitch Marner is 2 points back of being a point-a-game player, which is incredible. And again, the main players I want to keep an eye out on are Jake DeBrusk. He's up to 18 points. Kosarenkov with 16. I'm not exactly sure when I want to find these potential upgrades, so to speak, on who we currently have. Malcolm Subban right now, though. My God, what a season he is having. We will fix the AHL lineup. We'll take Yuri Hedobin out for Bodine. And then, at this point, we are probably looking at putting some of these players in the lineup. I'm not sure, how the Connecticut Whale are doing. Spencer Watson's actually making some fairly good progression and is tearing it up in the AHL, which is what I wanted. Again, I would rather have the team make the playoffs with some of our actual prospects rather than, miss out and just have a terrible season. But really quickly, we still have the champions status. Let's take a look around the league at potential options. It's still going well for us, but I want to see some of the early names that we could approach, and I can't guarantee what Christian Dvorak's actual rating is, so he's not worth going after. I believe those are all prospects. Defense, there's no way we could afford Brody. At least I'm not willing to make him the rental. You have Strawman, Giordano, Williams. Couple of decent veterans there. Giordano still has 2 years left on his deal, though. Strawman has 3, so there's no way a deal's going to happen there. Justin Williams, though, could be a decent... Here, you know what? Let's see. He could be a decent veteran option. Potentially. No, not Vladimir Sobotka. Nah, he's not doing that great this year. Never mind. he might be an improvement for the penalty kill. That's about it. You have Martin Hansel. 1 year left on his deal, 15 points. I mean, that's the thing, right? We can get players that are improvements as far as overall points go. And yeah, you do have to factor in how bad the teams are. But, I mean, that's the thing. If they're struggling that much, are we really going to want to make a move? Jeff Skinner is not happy. And I'm not happy that he has 2 years left on his deal. Because that's pretty much a deal ruiner. Unfortunately, and again, there's really nobody else there that I'd like to go after. David Schlemko is the only guy from Montreal. Nashville, Josh Manson, just defenseman. That's all they're getting rid of. New Jersey, Zajac, Plekanec, Brian Boyle. That's about it. The Islanders, they are wholesaling at this point. You got Brock Nelson, Anders Lee. Let's take a look here. Nelson has 2 years left. Lee has 2 years left. I mean, again, I'm not completely opposed to bringing in somebody long-term. I'd prefer it to be a rental player, though. Let's see, you got Sean Couturier, 2 years left. Braden Shen, 2 years left. Of course, he's still on Philly in this sim. So right now, I'm really not seeing that big-time player I'd prefer to bring in. You got Bodker, Silfverberg. Bodker's having a good season. He has 4 years left. That's definitely not happening. Bjorkstad, though, does have an expiring contract, but he is currently injured. So that doesn't exactly help our current situation. And then with St. Louis, there's nobody. There isn't anybody on Tampa. Those are all prospects. And from Vegas, Eric Halla and Riley Smith. Right, so at the moment, there isn't anybody we would like to go out and get. So what we'll do is we will continue to sim later on into the season, and we'll see just how well we can do with the team that has, already been good enough to stay in first place for the majority of the season, and Juuso Valimaki goes down to injury with the Connecticut Will. I mean, they do have a winning record. Jake Gardner goes down to injury. Here we go. The fun really begins now. Of course, we'll call up Liljegren, who is a top 6 defenseman now. I don't know if you saw that, but he has made the jump to legitimate top 6 defenseman, which is kind of concerning. I'm going to play him on a line with Brodin. That is a little bit concerning, just for, morale's sake. That could cause some issues. By the way, I'm going to bump up Nolan Patrick to the first units just to make sure that he is happy and content. And then on defense, so Yuri Hudobin's in. They just lost their top D pairing back-to-back. That is a little bit rough. And you know what? Because of that, I'm just going to go best lines for the moment, and we'll let the team play as it stands. The old scouting assignment. As well, are we off to the Extraliga? We are. All right, we'll go 2 weeks. That's fine. We'll go for 2 weeks. 2 straight losses. Our first regulation loss since the loss to Colorado at the very beginning of this episode. We just lost to the New York Rangers as well. It's still so weird. I have to remind myself all the time we're in the Central. It would be much, much better if we were in the Metro or Atlantic, but what can you do? Set the team up again. God, this is the one downside to injuries, having to change all of this over and over and over again. But damn it, we do what we have to do. And again, I don't mind injuries being on. It's fine. It is. Am I complaining about it? No, I'm not complaining about it. What would make you think that? If it really bothered me that much, I would just turn off injuries. So it doesn't bother me. It's fine. So Liljegren is back in the lineup. Right. I'm sorry, Mr. Jorgensen. You have to sit because of that. Valimaki's also back. We'll just go best lines again, because that team very well could make the playoffs. And as of February 1st, we find ourselves with 32 wins, unless it would have updated. Oh, God, the left stick. It's broken. I need a new controller so badly. Oh my God, yes. See, I mean that's not the game glitching out. Why it just switched to April right there? That is the left stick giving this game trouble. Clearly, it just happened again. We actually have 33 wins as of February 1st. Nice. Let's sim another 2 weeks. We'll go to the 15th, and from there we'll probably take another look at what players are being moved, or what teams, what players teams want to move. That's what we're trying to say. You know how it works, damn it. I mentioned I'm recording this relatively early. Not a morning person. I'm off my game. No, we will not claim Mark Borowiecki. No, thank you. No, thank you. Although, I mean, losing, 3 out of 5 there, or whatever the hell it was, certainly concerning. We'll edit the old scouting assignment again. Yes, I have to call it ye old scouting assignment every time. Get used to it. I mean, if you're not used to it by now, right? February, it's been a bit rough for us. Losses to Dallas, Boston, St. Louis, and Washington. So now might be the right time to take another look, because we have actually fallen 2 points back of the Dallas Stars. Now would be the right time to make a move. This is what I was concerned about. We were able to delay this kind of downward spiral for a bit. Kosarenkov and DeBrusk are doing about as well as one another, which is concerning for DeBrusk, considering he has 2 overall points better. Yeah, let's take a look. We need to find at least one player to bring in to help out the cause here. If we can find 2, that means we trade DeBrusk and send down Kosarenkov. We'll see what happens. So, the Anaheim Ducks. And again, I only want to go after players that are on the trading block because they are that much easier to trade for, and you don't have to give up a whole hell of a lot. Corey Perry is on an expiring deal and has had a pretty good season so far. Corey Perry is definitely a name we could look at bringing in for this playoff run. Make no mistake. Swig of water, by the way, man. My voice is... it's giving out on me, but damn it, I'm a trooper. And I will keep going, just like this team will keep going, and we will make the playoffs, and damn it, we'll find success. Motivation. I'm telling you. Motivation. Am I regretting not taking today off? A little bit. A little bit. But anyway, right now, Corey Perry is the main target, and again, he's the perfect player to acquire, seeing as he only has a 1-year deal. Hansel still had a couple years left. No, Hansel has 1 year left, too. Only 17 points, though. But he is a third-line guy. We could look at bringing in Martin Hansel as well. That wouldn't be too bad. So Perry and Martin Hansel, it's not too bad when it comes to reinforcements. Colorado's getting rid of Landeskog. Now, we're not going to be able to afford him. I can promise you that much. Mikko Koivu, 2 years left. That's a shame. That's a shame. He would have been a nice player to bring in for a hopeful cup run. But right now, again, we're just looking at Martin Hansel and Corey Perry. Abramov isn't there. All right, Detroit's getting rid of some players, including Anthony Mantha. 1 year left as well. And he's having a pretty good season. Not as good as Corey Perry. And that's the thing that I'm thinking of, is he's 26, right? So he's pretty much capped out. I'd rather bring in Corey Perry for the top 6, and then Hansel for the third line. So we're still looking at Corey Perry and Hansel as our top 2 targets right now. Unless something changes. Again, Jeff Skinner, it's not going to work out for us. You have Patrick Maroon, but yeah, we'd rather go after Hansel. All right, so we're looking all right as far as options. We have more options than I thought we would have. Jake Muzzin is there, but defensively, I think we're fine. Devin Dubnyk finds himself on the block. Marcus Johansson? I'd rather go for Corey Perry. He's just having that good of a season. All right. As the left stick started to glitch out there at the end. It's in the back of my mind. Like, man, I got to make sure it doesn't mess anything up. Nobody on Nashville. Anybody on the Islanders? Again, Anders Lee doesn't work. Brock Nelson doesn't work. Craig Smith? No, 3 years left on his deal. No, thank you. I think we have our 2 players, I think we have our 2 targets figured out at this point. We're not going to go for Shen or Couturier. We might as well check San Jose just to be thorough. Joe Pavelski. Joe Pavelski having a decent year. Corey Perry was a little bit more cheap in terms of trade value, I thought. And then there was Nick Bjugstad, who's doing all right, but I'm not sure how happy he'd be on the third line. He might be one to complain, but we could look at bringing him in too. So maybe Bjugstad instead. Bomeister and Andreoff are listed for the Blues. And that is pretty much it. So, Martin Hanzal, let me take a look at his value. All right, so we'd have to pay a little bit more to bring in a Nick Bjugstad. But again, Hanzal is listed as a third-line guy. Defensively, he's solid. So, I think it's going to be Corey Perry and Martin Hanzal. I think those are the two targets we have decided on. And again, you look at Corey Perry's value, now would be a good time to get him as a playoff rental. So let's do this. Unfortunately, that does mean Jake DeBrusk is probably going to be traded here. I mean, we wouldn't be able to send him down through waivers. He would get claimed. So, Jake, I'm sorry, but you're not going to be here for what I hope is an eventual cup run, although you watch, the Anaheim Ducks will eliminate us in the playoffs and go on to win the cup, because that's just how it works. So let's take a look here. Is there anybody I'd like to get rid of? I mean, we have all of these prospects that are just never going to make the team, which is concerning, but they don't have any trade value either. So let's see. We could add Oshie to the deal. DeVries. I mean, at this rate, we might as well just go draft picks. Might as well just try for draft picks. Now, our first-round pick actually has some value, and I don't know why. I don't know why, to be honest. I mean, I'm going to keep it. We'll see if we can use Anaheim's third. And we'll see how close that is to being a done deal. I'm going to tack on a sixth-round pick, or even a fifth-round pick next year, just to safety net it. Rejected. All right, let's try the sixth. I just want to see how close we are to having a done deal here. And the answer is apparently not all that close. I'm not against just, having this be a fairly straightforward deal, and that's still declined. All right, so DeBrusk a third, and let's see if we can use any of these unsigned prospects that we're never going to use. Wiley's going to be the first one that we tack on there just because of his potential. And from there, maybe we'll use Yui, low top six. And we'll see if that's enough to push this deal into our favor. Ryan Kessler has the lowest value on the Ducks right now. And then we'll use a seventh just to play it safe. Still no. Will that go through? Still no. Right. Okay, well, they value Corey Perry a little bit more than I thought they would have. Let's send them back their own fifth as well. So DeBrusk, a third and a fifth, along with two prospects who are never going to make it for Corey Perry. Still no, it's just a bit low. Okay. All right. I'll use my fourth round pick. But I want to see now if I can get a sixth round pick in return, just because it feels like a minor victory. Still no. I'm going to try to get a seventh. You know I'm going to try to. I'll try to get my own seventh round pick back. Will that work? All right. Will this work? No, it won't. Damn it. Value's just a little bit low, they say. All right. So instead of the third round pick, I really don't want to give up a second. I really don't. So let's use the Bruins third rounder. And I'll also use Anaheim's two fifth round picks, Anaheim and Florida's. Will that go through? Yes, it will. Okay, so we had to give up a little bit more than what I would have wanted, but in reality, we didn't give up a whole hell of a lot. We trade Jake DeBrusk, a third and two fifth round picks, to Anaheim in exchange for Corey Perry. Now, that has aggravated a lot of players, and that is, of course, the risk that you take. But, I mean, we've acquired Corey Perry. You can't really complain. Or, I mean, the players can complain. I'm not complaining. And now we're going to look to add Martin Hanzal as that third line reinforcement. Then again, hopefully Kosarenkov decides to, not completely tank his future potential because he gets sent down. Let's see, though. I just need to double check that he's not affected by waivers. He isn't. Good. So we should be fine. As far as who we're going to give up to get this deal done, I don't know. That I do not know. So you got Crosby, Senyshyn, Gaudette, I might, you know what? I'm not opposed to giving up Oshie and say even DeVries or Gaudette. Let's give up Gaudette. Yeah. So we'll give up Oshie and Gaudette as 2 prospects, which, I mean, yeah, they're decent prospects, but are they ever really going to make this team? Probably not. And I'll also see if I can have a 4th and a 6th on the end of that to see if that goes through. Still no. How about just a 4th? Still no. Straight up might go through, although they don't want the 2 players that we're offering. That said, it was close to fair value. We'll try the 7th. We'll try the 7th. Will that go through? Yes, it will. There you go. I had a feeling it was close. So for 2 prospects, we acquire Martin Hansel and a 7th round pick. And there are your reinforcements. And Corey Perry is actually the new team, the new leading scorer on this team with 52 points in 55 games. I told you he was having a pretty damn decent year. So Kosarenkoff, I'm sorry, buddy. You haven't been terrible this year. But you are being sent down. And we're going to see what this team looks like at this point. So the 4th line is set. Corey Perry has been added to that top 6. He'll be with Nolan Patrick and Daniel Sprong. And then we'll probably go Burakovsky, Hansel, Brown, Jones, Tierney, and Radish. We're looking good. It's just a matter of whether or not Perry and Hansel both kind of gel with what we have going on here at the moment. Again, we're going to bump up Nolan Patrick a little bit just to make sure that he gets that extra bit of ice time. And then, of course, Martin Hansel's a really good addition to this team. Although still, Nolan Patrick's faceoffs haven't gone up at all, which is concerning, to say the least. And then, of course, down in the AHL, we want this team to make the playoffs at this point. God damn it, Oleg Kravchenko, get out of there. Of course, he ended up getting better, too. So, I mean, that team is looking pretty good. Yes, we have a lot of players they you could argue should be playing that aren't, but it's not like there's a complete lack of players that, belong to us. You do have Dirksen in there, Andrews, Roberts, Beckett, Bowden's even, who is low elite. So there's still a good mix of decent players and our prospects that could really help that team do some damage this season. As it stands, they are currently outside of a playoff spot. Like I said, once it's confirmed that they're missing out, we'll put in all of our prospects, and they'll at least get some ice time towards the end of this year. But I think for the moment we are good, barring a major injury, which, knock on wood, will probably happen anyway, as we do lose our first game to the Devils, 4-3. That's always fun. We lost to Columbus as well. Remember what I mentioned about free fall? Well, thank God we beat the LA Kings, but February's been rough for us. We lost to Montreal. That's great. We were able to beat Detroit. All right, here's the thing. We still have a great record, 37-16-8, but we are struggling at the moment, to say the least. Now, I will at least double check, as I think my battery's died. That's always great. That's always great, and that's what happens when you have notifications off or when you're recording. It's just every once in a while, the controller, I dropped the battery. I dropped it. We're falling apart. Again, nothing but true professionalism here on my channel. Let's take one more look at the team before we sim to the end of the season. We are still in second place. We have a 4-point lead on the Blackhawks, but we are now 7 points back of the Dallas Stars. And Corey Perry's been struggling a little bit ever since he's arrived, which, I mean, damn it, he's actually down to an 83. Are you serious? Like, now's not the right time, Corey. This is your chance for a cup, damn it, and you're just in free fall? Worse than the team is itself. Come on now. Get it together. Get it together. That third line is not really contributing offensively, but the fourth line kind of makes up for it. Let's see. I mean, for the most part, Panarin's been disappointing a little bit. I'm going to swap him around with Pasternak, and I'm actually going to swap Sprong and Perry and see if playing them on opposite sides will help out at all. That top D pairing is still great. That third pair is struggling a little bit, but you really can't get any better than that for third pairing defensemen. And, of course, Right now, the main issue might be goaltending. Korpisalo is struggling a little bit. We will keep going, though. I mean, based off what I saw on every team's trading block, we really don't have many more options. This is pretty much the best we can do right now without having to give up a lot to make it happen. The team has at least improved. Right now, we're just underperforming. As long as we get to the playoffs, though, I'm happy. I definitely thought we had a chance at the division title. That is clearly out the door at this point, but that's not a major concern. Just make the playoffs, get in, and once you do, anything can happen. That's the plan. Panarin's happy about ice time. You should be, because I almost demoted you to the second line. We're able to beat San Jose. In our first game of the month, we play the Philadelphia Flyers. It's a 5-3 loss, but we do beat the Vegas Golden Knights on deadline day. Let's go ahead and sim to April 1st. Good old April 1st as Valimaki gets hurt again. It's honestly concerning how frequently Juuso Valimaki's been injured this season. I mean, I'm going to have to take a look at his durability ratings at this point. He might not make it just because of how frequently he's been injured this season. The good news is right now, well, hold on, maybe not. Maybe not. Okay, we beat Chicago. We're trading wins and losses. It was looking good there at the start as Oscar Steen goes down to injuries. Nice. Or injury, at least. I'm glad we're able to stay healthy right now down in Connecticut. That's great. I did the scouting assignment again. So right now, it's looking like the goal is just make the playoffs. That division title, way too many losses recently. That's not going to happen. But I don't think I expected it. We are losing so many games, though, here in the past month and a half, 2 months now. 4 straight losses, guys. Jesus. I mean, again, we should be in line to make the playoffs unless this division is really competitive, but this is so disappointing. Wow. We're in a wild card spot. We are in a wild card spot right now. Now, thankfully, we're not going to miss out because of anybody in the Central. The Central Division, aside from the top 5, is incredibly weak. However, we do need to take a look at the good old Pacific Division. And let's see. 84 points for Vancouver. And we're currently on 96 points. So we are pretty much in the playoffs. It's pretty much a guarantee already. So that's nice. But concerning to see that we, beyond pissed away the division title and are now in severe danger of missing out on home ice advantage in the first round. At the very least, if we stay in this spot, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we would avoid Dallas in the first round, which would be great. But let's take a look here. I mean, 50 points for Panarin. Sprong's done all right. Perry's kind of turned it around a little bit. I don't see why we're underperforming. I really don't. I don't see why we're underperforming at this point. I mean, even Malcolm Subban's save percentage has dropped too, so that's been an issue. I'm going to go best lines again down in the AHL just to make sure they have the best team available moving forward. Right. Well, I guess the only thing we can do, considering it's a guarantee at this point that we're at least in the postseason, is to sim to the end of the season, which doesn't end until the 11th. We'll sim to the end of the year, and we'll see what happens. We're able to beat the Rangers 8-2. We'll probably lose to Anaheim. That's just a guess. That's just a hunch. Talking about EA Voodoo at the start of the episode, well, there's nothing better than making a trade and taking away their top scorer, only for them to beat you a few weeks later. And we beat them 2-1, maybe a little bit more than a few weeks. We're at least racking up some wins now. We're going to lose to Tampa. Yep, because I said that. And then we lost to Boston as well. Right. Well, for the most part, we headed into the playoffs with a winning, with a bit of a winning streak. We lost the last 2, but the team finally remembered how to win some games. That's my point. We're looking decent. 48, 26, and 8 to finish the season. That is good enough to finish third in the division, 2 points back of St. Louis, and we will be playing the Blues in the first round. They will have home ice advantage, unfortunately. Right. So, as far as this season goes, I would say the voodoo kicked in a little bit. We definitely lost some momentum as we began to, sim through the rest of the season in this episode. Man, I feel off my game right now. I'm sorry, but I think you get the point. We started to lose way more than I would expect us to. I thought the record would kind of even itself out, not necessarily even itself out, but I thought we would, start to lose a few more games. We did, to say the least. We lost way more games than I thought we were going to. I mean, especially too, I expected us to have Dallas's record, basically. 54, 24, and 4. We did finish in 7th, although that could change if Chicago wins their last game. But, top 10 team, not too shabby. Could have been better. Again, here, let's, before we take a look at the stats, let's at least sim through the final day of the regular season. And then that way we can get a look at the full stats. There we go. Everybody's games should be done. Let's go ahead and take a look at the team stats, the player stats, and then, of course, we already know we're playing the Blues in the first round, so we are approaching the end of this episode. Goals for per game. We did end up finishing in 8th, by the way. Chicago really jumped up there. We had a 2.93 goals for per game average, which was decent. That was decent. Damn it, this fucking left stick. I gotta use the D-pad. I don't like to because it makes a bit more noise, but that's okay. So, goals for per game, top half of the league, not too bad. Goals against, a 2.49, which was actually towards the bottom half of the league. One of the lowest averages in the league this season. So that is frustrating to see that we ended up dropping so many games. We had a decent power play as well, 21.7%. The penalty kill was at 79%, and that unfortunately means we were towards the middle of the pack, mid-table, which, I mean, it could have been worse. Certainly could have been worse. We go into the playoffs with a 4-5-1 record, which again is not ideal in the slightest, but what can you do? Mitch Marner led the team in points, so of course we began the season really concerned about him. He ends up leading the team in points, 72 points in 82 games. David Pastrnak with 69 points. Nice. Corey Perry had 67 points, 56 for Panarin. A little bit disappointing on his part. Roman Josi with 52 points, 51 for Nolan Patrick. From there, you had Sprong with 46. Not bad. I would have liked him to have, at least hit 20 goals. 35 points for Brown, 32 for Radish on the fourth line. Andre Burakovsky is someone I was really worried about, and I was looking at him once we acquired Hansel. And I was thinking maybe we should look to get somebody better, and that's why. 29 points. That is not good enough at all. At all. Again, you had someone like Taylor Radish beat him in scoring, and Radish is on the fourth line. So, yeah, not great. But it is what it is at this point. He is pretty much an established member of this team. Korpisalo had a .916 save percentage in 65 appearances, a .922 for Subban in 23 appearances. So the goaltending also needs to step up a little bit. We need that third line to really start contributing, and we need our goaltending to really step it up here in the postseason. Around the league, Tyler Seguin, 109 points. I mean, no surprise, really, considering how well the Dallas Stars did this season. Of course, they still have the Seguin and Ben combo. Ovechkin, though, 61 goals, just beat Tyler Seguin for the goal-scoring crown. Vladimir Tarasenko was the only other player to break 50 goals, and then Connor McDavid with 81 points, up to a 96 overall. Ridiculous. So, as we wrap up this regular season, as we wrap up this episode, let's go ahead and get that confirmation that we are playing the St. Louis Blues in the first round. And there you whoa. I wasn't expecting that. It's because Chicago won. Yep, Chicago jumped us on the last day of the season. And that's what I'm talking about, forgetting that I'm in the Central sometimes. I'm like, oh, who cares if Chicago wins? No, Chicago won. They knocked us into the Pacific bracket. Dallas plays Winnipeg. We weren't going to have home ice advantage in the first place, but Chicago winning on the last day of the season means we get to play the 107-point Calgary Flames in the first round. I feel foolish. Damn you, Chicago. I don't know if that's good news or bad news, to be honest. I mean, well, technically it's bad news because they had a better record than St. Louis, if I'm not mistaken. But the Winnipeg Jets play the Dallas Stars instead. St. Louis, Chicago, Edmonton, and San Jose. I hate that it changes on its own. That's kind of annoying. But there you have it. That's the bracket. We play the Calgary Flames in the first round of the playoffs. A rough end to the regular season despite the acquisitions of Martin Hansel and Corey Perry. Let me know what you think down in the comments below as far as what we should maybe look to do lineup-wise. Again, Nolan Patrick, not on the first line. Kind of sucks. We should probably look to maybe bump him up at some point. But again, he's not improving as a center either. That's kind of an issue. I think for the most part, though, our team is pretty much locked in. I think this is the best team we can ice. And, of course, defensively, it's still looking decent. Again, we need that third line to step up, although Connor Brown did okay. We need that, we need the goaltending to step up. It's just a matter, and how many times have I said this before, it's just a matter of our players not underperforming now that we are in the postseason. And by the way, unfortunately, the Connecticut Whale missed out on the postseason. I said I would, pay attention and put in some of our players, but I saw we were at 42 wins, and I thought for sure we were in. We missed out on the playoffs by 3 points. So, and actually, it could have been less, really. Let's take a look. 87 points for Springfield. I don't know how those playoffs work. Did the top 4 teams get in? Are there no wild card? I guess so. Anyway, doesn't matter. Unfortunately, the Connecticut Whale missed out on the postseason. The Hartford Whalers did not, though, and we will go through that first round matchup in the next episode. So until then, guys, I hope you did enjoy. Support the video if you feel like it. Links in the description. I have the same outro every time because I'm predictable. I'll see you guys in the next one where hopefully I can actually breathe and not feel sick. That would be great.